Hello and welcome to the Evolve Pipedrive podcast, where we talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and the Pipedrive marketplace. My name is Bruce Bignell. I'm the sales director here at Evolve, and today I have the great pleasure to be joined by Mathias Saint-Jean, the head of revenue operations at Unito, a platform that allows you to build workflows between SaaS tools that you already use. Now, I'm super excited to be joined by Mathias today for a couple of reasons. One, I get to pick the brains of a marketing expert and share the lessons with you guys. But two, Unito's Pipedrive integration is now live on the Pipedrive marketplace. So it's going to be really interesting for him to kind of share what it does and with the Pipedrive listeners. And we'll be sure to have any links, the trial links in the description here. So, Mathias, welcome. Please can you
Thank you,
introduce
Bruce.
yourself and Unito to our audience.
Of course. Hello, Bruce. Thanks for having me first. This is a great opportunity to share a bit of the passion that I have around
Love
all
it.
things automation related. Unito is, as you said, is a no-code workflow management platform that basically integrates the tools in your stack and allows the data to flow seamlessly between them. So that's basically what Unito does. And for me, I'm spearheading what we call the revenue operation practice. And my job is basically to be at the crossroads of the customer facing teams. So customer success, sales, marketing, for example,
Mm.
and make sure that I improve all the processes or the data or the efficiency that we can implement when trying to improve our business hydraulics, I'd say.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. So obviously you know this, but a lot of our listeners are Pipedrive users. Some do use other CRMs, but this is mainly a Pipedrive podcast. Unito now integrates with Pipedrive, which is great. But what does a typical Unito customer look like? Like, what does their tech stack typically consist of?
Of course. So indeed, Unito started in the project management space, if you will. So it means that we have a bunch of integration with project management tools. So the Asanas, the Rike, the Trello, for example. We moved sensibly as well to the developers tools. So we started to integrate the Jiras, the GitHub, the Bitbucket, for example, and synchronizing what we call tasks or issues, if you will, like between systems. So this is how we started. Recently, we started to integrate as well some CRM. So Pipedrive is a great example of that, and some what we call spreadsheets or tables tool.
Yeah.
So we released an Airtable integration, a Notion integration, and recently a Google Sheet one as well. So our successful customers will usually try to align the different teams working on project management tools. So your marketing teams handling the project in Trello, for example, and align them with the developers working in Jira, for example. And of course, the more tools we had as connectors in Unito, now our successful customers are basically connecting 5 6 different tools and making sure that the work is flowing across the entire organization. So tasks is one, but also deals for certain CRM that we integrate, um, rows in Google Sheet.
Yeah.
So a lot of work items that we regularly integrate with Unito.
Yeah, I love that. And was that kind of natural, like with your current Unito customers saying other teams, can we do this? Or where did that kind of expansion come from?
Yeah, so basically, the companies start to realize that when you remove what I call the tool overhead, like all this time wasting chasing after information. Imagine the PM chasing after a person. So did you do that where you're at? It's we're talking about like hundreds of hours being
Mm.
wasted on a monthly basis. So that's the impact is direct within a company. You see that right away.
Mm.
So when you start to align people and you start benefiting from that information that is now seamlessly flowing between the tools, then everybody starts to be interested. So this is when you start to say, hey, reporting is a big thing within a company as well. So why don't we break those data silos as well and transfer this data into a Google Sheet to facilitate the live reporting? So there's a bunch of stuff and what we call a compound effect happening within those companies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that compound effect is huge when it lands on the C-suite's desk, or someone's like, "What do you mean marketing was never talking to sales before?" Or yeah, it's
It
very, very
raises
powerful.
that kind of
But
discussions. Yeah.
in terms of Unito, what markets are you covering? Are you because you're in Toronto,
In Montreal, actually.
Montreal?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was playing Ticket to Ride at the weekend, and I was kind of placing where you were in Canada, but I got that completely wrong.
No
Um,
worries.
but yeah, so you're in Montreal, but where do you cover?
So our ideal customer profile would be software companies in North America. So the US
Mm,
market is huge
mm,
for us, Canada as well, but Northern Europe as well. So the UK, Sweden, old Europe. So I would say like software companies, uh, mainly North America and Northern Europe as well.
nice.
So
Yeah,
that's the
no,
markets we cover. Yeah.
yeah, good. We've there's a lot of audience in North America, and some across Europe as well. So hopefully that'll be good for you. I always like to think about integrations. You either got native integrations between the apps themselves, so Pipedrive one touch to connect with Mailchimp, a no code integration, or if
Exactly.
we can't do that, we go into the API scripting and building something out there.
Hmm.
Where's Unito? Where does Unito sit in that stack? Because there's a piece here where, yeah, where does Unito fit in that stack? Would you say?
Yeah. So basically, we're in between. So we promote ourselves as a self-serve, no-code type of solution as well.
Hmm.
But the main differentiation between what Unito proposes and those native integrations is the two-way feature.
Yeah.
So basically, we developed all our integration to make sure that those objects or work items could synchronize both ways. So usually, what we see in those products is that the native integration will cover a one way out of the tool or bringing information back into the tool.
Yeah.
But Unito is there to basically allow that information to flow between both tools, um, like continuous loop of information being transferred between both tools. So that's very important. So where let's say that we differentiate ourselves thanks to the two-way feature,
Mm.
but I would say that ease of use and the depth of our connectors position ourselves like in between the native integration and the more robust solutions are there on the market. So I can name some of them. That would be Workato, for example, or
Yeah.
Trade.io, that are a bit more technical and less easy to use.
Mm. What does the future hold? You now integrated with Pipedrive. What does
Mhm.
what does that roadmap look like?
Yeah, so we have a very busy roadmap. So we started to integrate CRMs probably 1 year ago now. We started with tasks in other CRM, and we started to integrate deals. So Pipedrive is actually a very good example for us because we are, if you will, attacking the contact syncing space with Pipedrive. So this is very exciting. And our roadmap is to basically bring other work items on CRM work items. So we're talking about Pipedrive deals, for example, as an
Mm.
additional one, but we'll also integrate like different other CRMs and probably enter new categories. So we'll deepen the existing connectors, and deepening those connectors means adding more work items around the same tool, right? Pipedrive, those are contacts, but also companies, also activities, also deals. And all those objects, we plan on integrating them to Unito so that the use cases can be much more broad and wide for the company. So double down on CRM and contact management,
Yeah.
bringing more work item, of course, and then accelerating on the table space as well. So a Google Sheet integration, but an Excel one will also be available on the market. And as I told you, contact management. So that's
Mm.
Pipedrive, but also Google Contacts. That's Outlook, for example. Tomorrow, HubSpot Contacts. So all this information can be synchronized back to Pipedrive. So that's Pipedrive plus HubSpot, Pipedrive plus Google Contact, Pipedrive plus Outlook, plus
Yeah.
MailChimp, etc.
What does the team look like that's working on this? I don't, yeah, how, because
Yeah,
are they just putting you? Have you just listed loads of things that they've now got to build? Like, have you got a specific team on Pipedrive, specific team on CRM? How's that working?
that's a very great question. So no, we don't have like specific developers for a specific tool, let's say, right? So we have different squads, and there's a different momentum happening with our old connectors versus the new ones, of course.
Mm,
So we have a squad dedicated to deepening our old connectors, making sure that the Trello connector is the best one out there on the
so when
market,
you say old, do you mean like where you started in the kind of
historical one.
yeah, the
Yeah,
legacy? Yeah, cool.
yeah. And those one are very well developed. They're very robust, strong, and we keep adding like additional fields or work items. So that's one squad. And
Hmm.
of course, we have a dedicated squad of devs for our new connectors. So we have to learn very fast because when you launch a Pipedrive integration, that's fine, but this integration will be improved on a weekly basis. So we need to capture that feedback from existing customers. We're interviewing a lot of people out there constantly to make sure that we are addressing the right use cases and adding the right connectors.
Yeah. So, and thank you for that. Yeah, it was. I always find it fascinating when people, I love that you call them squads.
Hmm.
When people, they uh, put like a hit team to solve this, or like in the next few
Specifically,
weeks
yeah.
or whatever. It's very cool. Um, what is your experience with Pipedrive? Because I think you said that you've used it before, and think, what's your experience with Pipedrive?
So I'm passionate about CRMs. Like
Mm.
for the past 10 years, I've been playing with a bunch of CRM, like very old ones and some newer ones. And Pipedrive has been there for the past 10 years, basically. So I've always like tried stuff in Pipedrive to see how the product was evolving.
Mm.
And this is the platform that I love. So we're not using it here at Unito, but this is like I can say it with certainty. This is one of the easiest CRM to use and one of the most powerful as well. Um, automation
We'll take that as a
features.
snippet, and then we'll
Yeah,
we'll take that as a snippet and send it to Pipedrive. I mean
yeah,
that's I was saying to some the other day, Pipedrive is 11 years old, but in the last 3 years, 3 or 4 years, they've really pulled their socks up and they've grown as a platform. Then they are now a revenue platform, they say,
exactly,
um,
exactly.
and yeah, it's it's exciting to see them grow as well. So, speaking of Pipedrive, and obviously you now integrate, how do they integrate together? What's the kind of mechanisms there, and how do you go about that?
So Pipedrive and Unito
Mm.
today. So today Unito proposes a Pipedrive integration for contacts, for persons. So that's the work item you can
Hmm.
leverage and synchronize with different tools. So it means that you can synchronize your contacts with another contact-based tool. That's Google Sheet, that's Outlook, but also with a task-based tool. So, for example, if you're working on a deal attached to a big customer or a strategic account, there is a procurement document that you need right away, but your operations team is working in Asana. So you can sync this contact as a project back in Asana so that your BizOps team can work on it and provide the right document. And because this is a two-way integration, then you get the status of the task back in Pipedrive. So that's today contacts between other CRM,
Hmm.
project management tool, and tables. So that's your contacts in Airtable, in Notion, in Google Sheet, for example. Tomorrow it's going to be deals. So that's on our roadmap. In the next
Hmm.
6 months, we want to integrate deals as well because this is crucial for salespeople to accelerate the deal cycle as much as they can. And every time there's a need for security stuff or NDAs or procurement documents, that's another team handling those ones. So
Yeah.
uh, you can waste a lot of time asking those documents to another uh, team within the company.
Yeah, I think so. What do you what works really well there? And is it the having like a, would you see the CRM as a single source of truth, and then it's talking out to the other department, like, so because that for me would be the clearest win, right? Instead of having, you got these data silos across the business. um
Exactly.
yeah, what would you say is one of the biggest benefits of having integration with Unito with the contacts right now?
Definitely. And you mentioned like the CRM being the source of truth, and this is correct. Like you need to gather all this data, all those metrics back in the CRM, because this is where the business is being made. So
Mm.
all those activities are being registered in the CRM. So let's say that to me, the most powerful use case you can implement today using Unito and Pipedrive, that's basically connecting your Pipedrive database with a marketing automation tool like MailChimp and start automating your lead lifecycle process or
Mm.
management. Of course, your marketing team is working in a tool like MailChimp, running those marketing campaigns and stuff. Uh, those leads will reach a point where they're mature enough to be handed off to the sales team back in the CRM. So now the marketing team is very focused on revenue generation as well. So
Mhm.
we need to send those leads back in Pipedrive so that the sales team can focus on those very specific leads. This is what Unito allows you to do. So you tag your contact in Mailchimp, for example, as marketing qualified leads, and then a new contact will join the Pipedrive CRM. You can use a bunch of Pipedrive automation to create automatically a lead or a deal, and let the sales rep do their own magic. So their phone calls, the meetings, all those activities, up to the point where the what was a lead in Mailchimp, who became a marketing qualified lead, who became a deal, became then a customer. So this is what you can do. And once the contact is a customer in your CRM, that's not over, right? You need to synchronize this information back in the marketing automation tool, because the marketing team needs to run those campaigns,
Yeah,
right, on customers.
nurturing them and just making sure. Yeah, there's loads of
Yeah.
cool stuff you can do there.
That's one, but you can think about all those marketing leads that you need to recycle. Not all of them are accepted by the
Mm.
sales team. That's a fact. So you could definitely like reject them in Pipedrive and send them back in Mailchimp, for
Yeah,
example, to keep nurturing them until they reach the right level of maturity and readiness to buy your product or service.
yeah. No, that's a very very strong use case there. Um, I think we should do a demo and show people how that works.
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
we'll do let's do a screen share, and that'll, we'll either have it in the link in this podcast, or it'll be live later on.
With pleasure. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much for that, Matthias. I think it gives us, well, it gives me a real insight into, who Unito are, and how it kind of integrates with Pipedrive and the roadmap, right? 'Cause I always get excited about the roadmap, because it doesn't matter how much someone loves any integration, they go, cool, but does it do this? There's always, they forget how much time you've saved them, and they want to know, they want it to go
exactly.
faster, quicker. Um, so just kind of in closing, like like, how did you become head of RevOps, right? Because you've got a very systematic way of thinking, and for RevOps, anyone that doesn't know, is revenue operations. So yeah, what's your story, and how did you become the revenue operations at Unity?
That's that's a great question. If you asked me 10 years back, we were talking about web marketing
Mm.
back then. So RevOps is brand new. But this is how I started. Basically, I started in the web marketing space, if you will. So I was working for B2B companies, but in the building material industry. So
Mm.
that's far from the software industry.
Yeah.
But this is where I started. Then back in 2014, I joined a software company, a business software company back in France, where I had the chance to implement a new marketing automation platform. So it was Marketo back in time.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're talking about, like, it was a huge company, so 3,000 people back there and more than 150 users, marketing automation users. So I was very lucky to be the one to implement the system from a technical perspective as well, of course, but also from an adoption standpoint. So how do you move those teams that were working in several marketing and disconnected sales tool and bring them back into this machine and change the internal processes. So I dove deep into those problematics, lead lifecycle management, sales and marketing alignment, and making sure that the technology can accelerate the growth and have an impact on revenue, but also on the organization itself. Um, so yeah, Martech, marketing operations. This is what happened to me in the past 5, 6 years, and then I joined Unito because I can basically gather all my professional passions at once. So this is a tech product, the one an automated based on automation, of course, and the only reason for Unito to exist is to align those different teams within the company. So revenue operation, because I moved from being very marketing oriented, marketing and CRM, to marketing and sales and customer success,
Mm.
because the technology impacts all those customer facing teams, and you can apply the same logic and best practices. Uh, and well, it's all about breaking those silos. So I would say RevOps is I'm a bit a pain in my coworkers'
It's
ass,
funny.
if you will, because
It's like you were reading my mind. I was just thinking you must have been quite challenging. So you must be about 31, 32 at most. So if you were doing this 10 years ago, or I
yeah,
was trying to,
yeah,
but in your early days, and you're setting up this 150 person and saying, "Oh no, we can do this better, or we can do this better," they would have been like, "Who the hell are you?"
yeah, yeah.
um,
Who the hell are you? What is this tool? This horrible tool? Like the interface is shitty and stuff like that. No, it takes time, and
mm,
actually, like this is very difficult to implement a new technology because people can handle the technical difficulties, but the adoption itself is very
we
difficult.
it's we
And
it's and people underestimate it, right? Even if
they do.
they either don't think it exists or they underestimate it. I don't think there's very few people that say, "I understand and I'm going to put a plan in place to really tackle it." I mean,
Exactly. So,
some research from Salesforce say that a CRM integration can take 18 months to adopt fully.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
yes, that's on the larger side, but that there's if you align the tech right with the business needs, that's one thing. Then there's user adoption, and yeah, this is it's
Yeah,
people don't consider it
that
enough
that
for sure.
that's a real fight because usually you implement a new tech within a company. Um, you win money somehow. Okay, it
Yeah,
makes sense from a budget perspective.
yeah,
So your internal stakeholders are convinced, your executive suite is convinced, right? But then you have all those business users, and you need to prove them that they can work in better conditions, of course, but they'll look at the interface as well, not only the product and the technical impact. So that's a real balance that you need to maintain, and remember that you can lose people as well over time. So lots of turnover when it comes to technology, marketing and sales technology. So it means hiring people, the learning curve, and all over again. So that's a real challenge
yeah.
to handle that.
Yeah, I'd love to maybe spend another half an hour or more with you just on that. I think there was a piece you mentioned there about the relationship between sales and marketing.
Yes, yeah,
Um,
which is
you know,
a crucial
it's
one.
it's a really key point that a lot of people forget that marketing don't have a job unless anything gets sold.
To
um,
start with, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And
So
if you I used to say, if you want a marketer with ambition, give them a revenue target. So
mm.
that's how you can basically join both sides of the funnel. Marketing can contribute to revenue in a
And then
smart way, of
you have
course.
they
Yeah,
have better conversations internally. I think that help the business as opposed to arguments
definitely.
because everyone knows about the arguments between sales and marketing, but
Hmm.
they should be constructive, you know, feedback loops that feed into each other.
Constantly, two way.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I thought I might get a bit off track, but that's cool. So no, I appreciate that. Just in kind of wrapping up here, in terms of highlights, um, when using Unito, what would be your top tips?
So my
With
top
you?
tip would be, yeah. Sorry, Bruce, I cut you.
That's right.
Yeah. Um, no, take your time. I'd say. Like, even if the product is not very complicated, that's a lot of information to take into account. So visit our knowledge base, take the time to read the articles to see what fields we can support and the fields we don't support. So take your time and test stuff before implementing your flows live. So take the time to create subsets of contacts or a subset of tasks just to prove the concept somehow. Uh, and if you struggle somehow, like, ask us. You can use the chat. You can send us an email. You can ask to be called back. There's a bunch of stuff we can do, and our job is to help you build that first flow, which is a crucial one. So take your time, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice message. I think, yeah, we always people always want to rush the automations,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's a very good point. Well
it
made.
can easily go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people from Pipedrive listen to this as well, right? Any feature requests?
So you mean like for Pipedrive?
Yeah,
No, keep doing what you're doing.
keep doing what
Like,
is it. They got a great roadmap. I just wanted to see if there's any gold that could come out of your come out from
yeah,
you.
like workflow automation, for example. So that feature that you have like in Pipedrive is a wonderful one because when you start adding automation on top of other automations, this is where when you start building something very robust and really powerful. So yeah, this is golden. I would
Yeah,
recommend that. Play with
yeah,
those custom fields and workflow automations
yeah.
in
It's a really
Pipedrive.
nice build. It's a really nice builder as well in the Pipedrive workflow automation.
Yeah,
There's a kind of nice tutorials and already templates as well for you to kind of get started.
exactly, exactly.
So, Matthias, is there anything in particular you'd like to cover before we sign off today, or?
Yeah, I'd like to say like this is what a fun job we all have when we talk about CRMs and technology. So that's the pressure of making business on a daily basis for sure. But look at those technologies we're using. So I mean Pipedrive or even Unito. So to the entire Pipedrive audience, keep having fun and
Mm,
don't stop that. Keep having fun. Those tools will
lovely.
help you have fun.
Brilliant. And we'll be sure to have any links to Unito in the show notes. And that's it for this week. If you'd like to get a demo from Unito, you can follow the link in the show notes below. Even have a link to Matthias's LinkedIn, so you can drop him a note there. And thank you for listening to the Evolve Pipedrive podcast, where we talk all things Pipedrive, sales, apps, and the Pipedrive marketplace. If this has been useful and you've listened to the end, please like, subscribe, and consider sharing with a friend that you think will find this useful as well. Matthias, thank you so much for your time and good luck with the rollout of the integration with Pipedrive.
Thank you, Bruce, for having me once again. Have a great
Brilliant.
day.